Now we've got a cutaway of our house here showing kind of the average gable style home. And outside we've got freezing temperatures. And inside those homes, we've got our nice climate controlled, heated space. Now recently, there's been some good snowfall leading to a nice blanket of snow on the roof surface. Now naturally, that heat from the inside wants to rise, and in this case, works its way up into the attic space, which is generally not climate controlled. Now, that rising heat causes the roof surface temperature to rise above freezing, melting that snow from the bottom up, which runs down the roof towards the eaves. But the freezing outside and that cold air is flowing up under the eaves. And that's going to be true even if the soffit or eave isn't ventilated. It's still cold. And this exposed overhang causes that eave to be a very, very similar temp to the ambient air temperatures. Now, with the freezing cold eave, that freshly melted running water now refreezes to the outdoor temperatures again. And this causes that ice dam to form right there at the edge as the water refreezes over that cold eave space. Now, once the dam gets high enough, the water starts to pool and will actually start to back up under the shingled surface and leak into areas that was not designed for water. And with that, we probably are going to get our first visuals of a water issue inside the house. Now let's take this a step further. We've got our attic again with eave and gable vents, a couple of recessed lights, other things in the ceilings. And so let's split this attic in half, and we'll illustrate how attic conditions can heavily influence ice dam formation. Now on our left side, we've got older, smushed, compacted fiberglass insulation. And that insulation has gaps and holes and even is pushed out over into the eaves, blocking any kind of eave vents. Now, to contrast that, on the right side, we got featured new blown-in insulation that's got way better coverage and a deeper overall measurement. Now, we've also got sealed up areas in the ceilings, like those penetrations in the attic space around the lights. It also is going to include any other type of penetrations from the floors around wires, outlets, things of that nature. We can also see a ventilation baffle installed at the eave to keep the airflow open and prevent the insulation from falling and clogging the eave vents. Now we can see how this performs when the cold air is trying to get in. That interior heat is rising and trying to escape out. And that cold air on the left side, because it's blocked by the insulation, there's no baffle to keep that area open. And we can see that the air gaps in the ceiling are allowing heat to easily escape into the attic space. And with the minimal worn out insulation and gaps, tons of heat is escaping into this attic space. And along with that heat, we've got humidity. Usually we've got higher humidity levels inside during the winter months than the outside ambient humidity level, which is generally low. Now the right side is performing much better with the baffles allowing air to flow up through those eaves to the ridge. Now the large amount of uniform insulation is keeping that heat where it's supposed to be, and the attic is staying closer in temperature to the outside ambient air. And with the additional steps of air sealing around the gaps and penetration and fixtures, there's far less moisture escaping into that attic space. And that airflow and that air movement is constantly taking humidity out during that ventilation cycle.